Okay, so let's jump right in. We are absolutely swimming in information these days, right? But does all that info actually make us any wiser? That's a huge question, and honestly, the answer is everything. It's the difference between truly understanding the world and just collecting a bunch of trivia.
And you know, the physicist Richard Feynman just nails it with this quote. He points out our biggest challenge. And it's not what you think. It's not about being ignorant, nope. The real trap, the one that gets all of us, is how easily we can fool ourselves. We think we get it, when we really, really don't.
We all know that feeling, right? That little hit you get from memorizing a cool fact or a famous quote. It feels like real knowledge. But here's the thing, it's incredibly fragile. It's like an echo of someone else's idea, not your own voice. It's missing that deep, I get this in my bones kind of understanding.
But, okay, there is a way to fight this illusion, and it's powerful. It's something every single one of us can build. It's what we're calling a framework of understanding. So what on earth is a framework of understanding, or FOU? Well, it's definitely not a dusty old library in your head where you just store facts. Forget that. Think of it more like a living, breathing map of reality. It's a map that you are constantly updating, constantly tweaking and refining with everything you learn and experience.
I love this analogy. It just makes so much sense. Imagine trying to see a reflection. On the one hand, you could use a handful of broken mirror shards. What do you get? A scattered, distorted, chaotic mess. You can't really see anything clearly. Now imagine looking into a perfectly still, clear pool of water. You see a complete, unbroken reflection of everything. That right there is the difference between just memorizing stuff and truly understanding it.
So, how do we get to that still pool of water? Well, you can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. It's not something you can just download from a book or a lecture. No way. This kind of deep understanding, you have to earn it. It's an active, ongoing process.
And the engine that drives this process is this really cool three-part cycle. First up, curiosity. And I don't just mean a passing interest. I mean that deep, nagging drive to ask why over and over again until you hit bedrock. Next comes creativity. This is where you connect the dots, maybe between things that seem totally unrelated. It's about making those good guesses, those intuitive leaps. And finally, and this is probably the hardest part, comes adaptability. This is where you have to be willing to be wrong. You have to test your ideas against the real world, and not just look for evidence that you're right, but actively search for ways you might be wrong.
And that last part, adaptability, leads us to this fantastic point from the philosopher David Deutsch. He says that a good explanation is hard to vary. What does that mean? It means it's solid, it's robust. You can't just swap out a piece here or there without the entire thing collapsing. A flimsy idea, you can tweak it endlessly. A true understanding, it holds together because it's deeply connected to the facts. It can withstand a real stress test.
Okay, so this sounds like a lot of work, right? Curiosity, creativity, being willing to be wrong. Why bother? Well, because the payoff is huge. I mean, absolutely massive. When you build a genuine framework of understanding, you unlock something incredible, true originality.
So let me ask you something that really gets to the core of this whole idea. And it's a zinger, so really take a second to think about it. What is an important truth that you believe that very few people agree with you on? That question, it's actually a famous one from investor Peter Thiel. He uses it as a test for visionary thinking. Why? Because if you have a good answer, a real answer, it probably means you're not just repeating popular opinion. It means you've actually thought things through from the very beginning, from what we call first principles, instead of just looking at what everyone else is doing and copying it.
And this really breaks down those two different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got reasoning by analogy. That's basically imitation. It's like, well, this worked for them, so let's do something kind of similar. It's going from one to end. You're just making more of what already exists. But on the other side, you have reasoning from first principles. This is the game changer. This is where you break a problem down to its absolute fundamental truths and build your way back up. This isn't imitation, it's innovation. It's how you go from 0 to 1.
And this is where it all comes together. The real, ultimate value of having a strong framework of understanding, it goes way beyond just having original ideas. It's about something much more fundamental. It's about being able to navigate a world that is, let's be honest, completely and totally unpredictable.
To see what I mean, think about this story from Nassim Taleb. He calls it the turkey problem. So you've got this turkey. For 100 days in a row, every single morning, a farmer comes out and gives it food. From the turkey's point of view, the data is overwhelming, right? Every day reinforces its belief. This farmer is great. The world is awesome and super predictable.
The turkey's confidence is at an all-time high.
But then, day 101 arrives, and it's the day before Thanksgiving. Suddenly, the turkey's entire model of reality doesn't just fail, it catastrophically implodes. It learns a brutal lesson. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. This is a perfect example of what Taleb calls a black swan, a massive, shocking event that comes completely out of left field.
So here's the bottom line. If your way of understanding the world is just a rigid set of memorized rules, you're like the turkey. You're fragile. The first big surprise, the first black swan, is going to shatter your worldview. But an adaptive framework of understanding, that's totally different. It's resilient. It's actually designed to learn from surprises, not break. It doesn't give you a map of the past. It gives you a compass to navigate the chaos of the future.
And I want to leave you with this image. Think about your current understanding as an object. The future you can imagine, all the possibilities you can see for yourself, that's the shadow cast by that object. The shape of the shadow is completely determined by the shape of the object.
So if you want to change your future, if you want to cast a bigger, different, more interesting shadow, you can't just change the shadow. It's impossible. You have to change the object itself. You have to change your model. You have to be willing to change your mind. So the real question for you is, how are you going to build your framework?